Hello everyone and welcome back to another declutter. I still haven't had time to do my nails. Maybe one of these days I will find time to do that before coming on camera with just my hands. I am in the process of decluttering my entire makeup collection. If you missed my first video, I will have it linked in the description box down below, but we went through all of my complexion products. And in today's video, we're going to be going through all of my cheek products. So bronzers, blushes, highlighters, and also face palettes. So if you would like to see my cheek product collection, what I'm keeping, what I'm passing on, then just keep watching. Alrighty, so this is my collection of single powder blushes. They don't all even fit in the frame, so I've had to like stack them on top of each other. There's kind of a lot here, but there's also quite a bit that I see that I feel like parting with at this point. Maybe we'll go shade by shade and I'll show you some like similar shades together and we'll just kind of move through that way. All right, I'm going to start with these two together because they were both in my most recent blush wardrobe for spring of 2025, were my powder blush picks, and so I've been spending a good amount of time with them. And they're actually, you wouldn't think it by looking at them, but they're actually not too dissimilar from each other in terms of the shade and the way that they look on the cheeks. So this is the What's Up Beauty Cheek Tear Blush in the shade 10 Peaceful Pizza. I was gifted this from the brand. This one is the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Blush in the shade C3 for Tender Rose. I'm not going to swatch all of these because we will literally be here forever, but both of these are very, very light pink shades. Especially this one, you would never tell by looking at it. It looks almost more of like a plummy undertone, but at least on my skin, I have a really hard time getting any color payoff from either of these. They both barely look like I've got any blush on my face. And if you know anything about my makeup preferences or you've seen me do my makeup before, you'll know I like a lot of blush. So I'm wondering if these might be better served for someone who has really, really fair skin or someone who just doesn't really love a ton of blush. They're both really nice formulas, but you can even see just from trying to pick up the product. I know I said I wasn't going to swatch anything, but I feel like I just had to kind of illustrate my point. These look almost like face powders on my skin tone, and like I don't even think you can really see that on my hand there. So just not my ideal shades, but I think that they could be someone else's. So I'm going to see. You have one very blonde, very fair friend that these might work for. So I might pass these on to her. Nothing wrong with the formulas, just purely a shade thing for me. Then we have all of my kind of peachy toned powder blushes. I guess this one is technically a face palette because it has a blush and a highlighter in one. This is the Pacifica Glimmer Shimmer Highlighter and Blush in the shades Glimmer Shimmer and Firelit. I think I might have swatched this, but I have never used it on my face. It came in an Ipsy back when I was getting PR from them, and I just don't really think I need this in my collection, and I'd rather pass it on to somebody who has less cheek products to choose from so that they can hopefully get some use out of it, because it does look pretty, but I just don't need it. We then have another one of the What's Up Beauty Cheek Tear blushes. This one's in the shade 30 Relaxed Aroma. We have the Vive Sunset Blush in the shade Pesca. And then the RMS Beauty Hydra Powder Blush in the shade Maiden's Blush. I feel like I still need to get to know this shade in the What's Up Beauty. I definitely have not used this one nearly as much as I have used the one that I'm decluttering today. I'll try and swatch this one just to see if there's any. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see there's a little bit more immediate color payoff with that one. It's still not incredibly pigmented. but I'd like to use this one a few more times before I get rid of it. And then I'm also going to be keeping the Vive and the RMS. These are two really beautiful, really unique shades. This one has a really unique formula as well. It's sort of like that baked gelée where it applies like a powder, but it gives a little bit of like a cream finish and a bit of a glow to the cheeks. So I'm going to be holding on to all three of these. Then we have my more kind of what I'm calling neutral blushes. So this is the Bobbi Brown blush in the shade Slopes. This has been one of my all-time favorite powder blushes for a very long time, and I don't even know if they still make this shade. It looks like absolutely nothing in the pan, but when it's on your cheeks, it just gives a really beautiful dimension to your face. It gives a touch of color that's very earthy, natural, almost kind of like a sun-kissed vibe. So I'm definitely holding on to this one. The Charlotte Tilbury Cheek to Chic Swish and Glow blusher in the shade Pillow Talk is a very similar, hopefully you can kind of see how similar those shades are. Obviously the Charlotte Tilbury does have a little bit more of a glow to it because there is that highlighter in the center. I haven't gotten a ton of use out of the Charlotte Tilbury one, even though I've had it for several years at this point, so I feel like there's still life left in that one. So I'm definitely going to keep that one as well. And then this one's kind of sad. This is the Suq Pure Color Blush in the shade 139. I purchased this when I was in the UK a couple of summers ago. I was so excited to purchase this, to bring it into my collection because I've just heard such great things about it. Unfortunately though, I think that this is a little bit too finicky for my preferences. It's got some glitter in it that you don't notice when you first apply it, but when you're out in natural daylight and sunlight hits your face, my husband actually, I think, was the one who noticed that this has like glitter specks in it. And I don't love that look, especially on my cheeks, which is an area that sometimes can be very textured for me. If I'm wearing a very full coverage flawless foundation, it's less noticeable, but I am not really wearing that much coverage day to day at this point. So I think that someone else could really get some good use out of this. And even though it is like a souvenir from my UK trip and it's a really beautiful product, I think I'm actually going to part with this one today. Next up, we have some Plummy powder blushes. This one's a little bit funny looking. It's just the refill pan, but I kept it in its little packaging just because it was convenient. This is the Make Beauty Skin Mimetic Micro Suede Blush Refill in the shade Eros, and they sent this to me a while ago. I did some work with them on Instagram, and I really loved this blush formula. It's very smooth, very blurring on the face, and I absolutely love this shade. It's a very pretty wearable plum shade for me. The packaging's not great because it's just the plastic, but honestly, it doesn't bother me. So I am going to be keeping this one. Unfortunately though, I think I'm going to be passing along my Clinique Cheek Pop in the shade Cola Pop. I had this in my blush wardrobe recently, and this is another one of those baked gelée formulas, kind of like the RMS Hydro Powder, but unfortunately for some reason this one did not apply evenly on my face. I found it to be kind of hard to work with. I was using it over the winter months and I found that it was clinging to my dry patches and I just could never get it to look smooth. It always looked splotchy and uneven. So it might just not be the best formula for dry skin, or maybe there's something, you know, about this shade, which is a gorgeous shade. I absolutely love like russet, plummy kind of brown tone of this, but maybe that just wasn't working for me and my skin tone, or I don't know. I feel like someone else could use this and love it, so I'm going to pass this one along. And finally, we have my pink powder blushes. So some of these are a little bit brighter, like this one from Tom Ford. Some of them are a little bit more kind of, like this one from Becca is a little bit more on the coral side, and then some of them are a little bit more like baby doll pink, but this is a pretty sizable collection of pink powder blush. But I love all of them, and they're all good for different reasons. I think if I had to declutter one, it would be this one from Becca. It's the Becca Mineral Blush in the shade Flower Child. As we know, Becca is not really a brand anymore. I don't know if this still exists. This is a little bit shimmery for my liking, and the pigment is just okay. I know this is old because it's Becca, and I bought it from TJ Maxx, which, you know, they're kind of notorious for selling makeup that's on the edge of being expired. I think I'm going to get rid of this one. I just don't love it. It's a little bit chalky. It's a little bit too shimmery for me. And I love all of these other pink blushes so much more. And the tones of the other pink blushes I love more than this more corally one. So I think it's probably time for the Becca one to go. The rest of these, as I mentioned, I absolutely love. I will just go through them quickly so you know what the shades are. This is the Too Faced Cloud Crush Blurring Blush in the shade Candy Clouds. This is a really beautiful blurring powder blush formula and such a fun shade. It's a really nice baby doll pink on the cheeks. Super cute. This one from Tom Ford I got at the Cosmetics Company outlet a few years ago. It's likely from a discontinued Tom Ford collection, but it's in the shade Wicked. And it does have a little bit more of like a summery coral to it, but still very much hot pink, and just a beautiful matte blush formula, and I absolutely love using it because it makes me feel very luxurious. And then these two are definitely more neutrally pink. So this is the Bobbi Brown blush in the shade Sand Pink, a very classic Bobbi Brown shade. I feel goes with every look, and also just a really kind of flattering, cooler toned neutral pink blush. So I really love this one, and that's not going to be going anywhere. And then this one from Flower is the Flower Pots Powder Blush in the shade Sweet Pea. This is definitely lighter in terms of pigment, but it's really, really beautiful. I love the formula of this. If you're looking for a great, affordable powder blush, this is definitely one of my favorites that I've tried. This particular shade I think would be really good for lighter, fairer skin tones, but for me, I really like to use this as a way to set cream blush without adding too much pigment on top, but it's just such a finely milled, beautiful formula on the skin, and I really love it as an affordable option. All right, so for powder blushes, we are keeping 10. That's still a wild number of powder blushes, but definitely feels a little bit more manageable. And I will be passing along 6. Okay, I completely forgot that I even had this, but this is another powder blush. It's the Moira Berry Flirty, so it comes with 2 shades. Obviously, I forgot I had this. I don't know if I've ever used this, maybe just swatched it, so that one is obviously gonna go. And clearly it's just been hiding like in the back of the drawer. So this is also going to be passed along. So I will be getting rid of 7 powder blushes instead of 6. All right, so these are all of my cream blushes. I have 10, which I'm happy I don't have more, to be honest. I feel like this is still too many though for me. So let's go through. I'll kind of go by like tones again. In terms of neutral cream blushes, this is kind of what I have. This is the Patrick Ta in She's So LA. Obviously it contains a powder as well. I hit pan on this earlier in the year, and I've mostly really been using this as a bronzer, but it is technically a blush. I think I'm going to keep working to expand the pan in this, and then once the cream is gone, I might have to reevaluate whether or not I want to keep this around just for the powder to, you know, mostly use as a bronzer shade. But I'm going to hold on to this one for now. And then my other kind of neutral cream blush is this one from Phytosurgence in the shade Fume. This is a really beautiful rose tone, kind of neutrally wearable pink. To be honest, I've been a little bit wary of some of my Phytosurgence products going bad. I think the general consensus is that they just develop like a wax bloom over the top. So that's why it looks a little bit chunky, if you will. The texture definitely puts me off sometimes. But everyone and their mother has told me that it's just wax and it's okay to use. What do you all think? Let me know in the comments. I know I have some people who love and use Phytosurgence who watch my videos. At what point should I be concerned about my Phytosurgence products? And then speaking of Phytosurgence, I do have another one of their blushes. These are all my kind of like peachy orangey blushes. So I have the shade Inferno from them, which is a really beautiful, unique kind of rusty orange color. But again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but it looks weird. Like, I don't know, guys. I think I'm going to have to get rid of these. It looks like mold to me. And whether or not it is mold, the fact that it looks like mold to me, I just don't think I'm going to be using these. Like, that's green. There's something green in there. So I'm sorry, but I just, yeah, I can't. I'm just going to have to give up my Phytosurgence blushes. I don't want to be dealing with it. My other two peachy tone blushes are this one from Melt. It's the Cream Blush Light in Sandy Cheeks, which is actually a really wearable peachy tone that I really love in the summer. And then this one is the Dimnessa Myricks Yummy Skin in the shade Bellini. This is definitely more of like a neon kind of orangey peach. I really like both of these, especially in the summertime. So we're coming up to the time of year where I would love to wear them. This Dimnessa Myricks one makes this one from Melt look so neutral, but this one definitely still pops on my cheeks as like a peach. But yeah, I really love both of these. I'm going to hold on to them and hopefully enjoy them this summer. I only really have one berry toned single cream blush. This is the Tarte Sea Breezy cream blush in the shade Berry Bliss. I have spoken a lot about this blush formula. It's one of my favorites because it's very long wearing. I think it turns a lot of people off because it is like, I don't even really know how to describe it. It's almost dry to the touch, but you can see just how pigmented that is, and that pigment will last on your cheeks through anything. A lot of cream blushes I find fade really quickly. The wear time on these from Tarte is just really, really good. And this is a really fun color. I especially like to wear it in the wintertime, so I'm going to be holding on to this one for now. And then the rest of my cream blushes are pinks. So I have another one of the Tarte Sea Breezies in the shade Pink Sky. This is a little bit more of a warm pink. You can see well, maybe you can't see actually because the pan's covered over, but I have hit pan in this. I have a like secret unspoken goal of hitting pan in all of my cream cheek products. So yeah, hopefully I can achieve that one day, but this is a really nice, just neutral, rosy, wearable everyday pink. I'm running out of space to swatch. And I said I wasn't going to do swatching in this video, but I can't help myself. So this one's just super easy to wear, perfect for every day, goes with tons of different looks. And I've finished a mini one of these before, so I would really like to finish the full size, and I feel confident that I can. So I'm going to keep this one. We have the Lawless Pinch My Cheeks Soft Blur Cream Blush in the shade Gumdrop. This my friend Kristen gave to me. It is a very fun, bright color. It's a very, oh, there was already a swatch on that finger. Hold on. It's such a fun, bright, kind of Barbie pink and a very emollient formula. It's very similar to the Dimnessa Myricks in that it almost mattifies when you blend it out. I haven't played with this one enough yet, so I'm going to keep this one and hopefully get some more use out of it before the end of the year. And then we have these two, which I am on the fence about, to be honest. This one from Kier Weiss is very, very old. This was like one of the first makeup products that I was ever gifted for review. It's their cream blush, I believe in the shade Embrace, and they sent it to me in the refill packaging. I hit pan on this earlier in the year, and you can see it just looks gross in the pan. This one has seen better days for sure. It's smelling a little bit Play-Doh-y, so I think I've gotten my use out of this one. It definitely smells old, and I know it is old in my collection, so yeah, I think we're gonna get rid of this one today. And then this one from Kevin and Coco is actually not that old. I have this in my blush wardrobe for the spring. It's such a cute shade. It's in the shade 5 Raspberry. Such a beautiful, wearable, everyday shade. But you can probably already tell what my issue with this is. The packaging is terrible. It's like one of those deodorant bar things. The product falls out all the time and lands in the cap, and then it gets stuck in the cap, and I have to like whack it on my table to get the product back out, and then it leaves a mess. And I'm just thinking to myself, is this worth it? I love the color. I think it's really pretty in terms of the formula, but the packaging just drives me nuts, and it's completely gross. Like, you cannot put this in a makeup bag. It's going to get all over everything. So unfortunately, I don't know. Could I depot this and put it in a separate container? Yes. Am I willing to put that much effort in? I just don't think so. So I think we're going to have to say goodbye to this one too. I did not come into this declutter with the intention of decluttering for cream blushes, but I feel like with creams in particular, they go bad so quickly that if I can make more space for myself to hone in on the ones that I really love and enjoy using before they go off, that I should definitely do that. So saying goodbye to these 4 and keeping these 6. And finally, for blushes that are singles, that are not in palettes, we have all of my liquid blushes. And I have just determined I am not a liquid blush girly. They don't love me. They don't like my skin. They are so patchy on me. I do have drier skin, and I think that's part of the problem. But for whatever reason, you would think a liquid blush would work beautifully on dry skin, but I just really seem to need that extra moisture and emollients of a cream. So we are about to whittle this down real quick. I have these from Winky Looks. They are the Cheeky Rose liquid blushes. This one is in the shade Darling, and this one is in the shade Queen. As far as liquid blushes go, these are the thinnest ones that I've tried, so they are extra patchy and cling to my dry patches. So I am 100% passing these along to somebody who hopefully has a skin type that can use them and love them. I love the shades. I don't think, there's even necessarily anything wrong with the formula or with any of these formulas. I just think that having dry skin, I have to be a little bit more hydrated when it comes to my blush. So yeah, these are gonna go. These are 2 that I got in Ipsy and barely used. I think I used both of them once. It's the blush tape from Tarte in the shade Peach, and the Lunar Beauty Moon Prism Liquid Blush in the shade Fuego Fuchsia. Again, I really wanted to like both of these, but they don't like me. It's just something, my skin does not respond well to the liquid blushes. So I'm sure somebody else could use these and love them, so they're going to go as well. These 2 are the Moira Love Steady liquid blushes. This pinkier one is in the shade So Cute, and then this one is in the shade Trust. These are getting more on the thicker end of the spectrum in terms of the consistency, but unfortunately I still find them to be really finicky. They're very similar, I think, to the Rare Beauty. These I think are actually a little bit more blendable in comparison, but I still just don't love these, and I don't love the Rare Beauty. I bought this thinking I would really love it and wear it on my wedding day. It's in the shade Happy. It's such a cute color. everyone and their mother loves these and raves about them, and I feel like I'm the only person in the world that just does not, I just can't get these to work for me. But that being said, like, hopefully I can find a friend who does love these and does want to try them and will be able to get them to work, because I've tried. And at this point in my life, I'm just done. I'm done trying to make things work for me that don't work for me when it comes to my makeup. Same goes for the e.l.f., the Camo Liquid Blush in the shade Pinky Promise. Unfortunately, this is the same problem. It's such a cute color. I think this one actually has a little bit of shimmer to it as well. I wanted to love this, but I don't. So this one's also gonna go to a friend. And then we have these two, which are kind of similar in that they're both a little bit shimmery. They're more like blush lighters rather than liquid blushes. This is the By Terry Brightening CC Liquid Blush in the shade Rosy Flash, and it has like the click brush on it. Kind of bizarre. Yeah, they sent this to me for review and I thought it was a little bit weird. I didn't love applying it with the brush. It did have a pretty effect, but again, these days I don't want to mess around with it. So I'm going to get rid of this one. But the one liquid blush that I'm keeping out of all of them is going to be this one. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm Beauty Light Wand. I have the shade Pinkgasm. Is this the most flattering on my skin texture? No, but it is really, really beautiful as almost like a highlighter, and I love the way that it looks in photos and on camera. So even though it's not the most quote-unquote flattering, I really love the way that it looks, and I find the consistency to not do that weird clinging thing that so many of the other liquid blushes do. Maybe because I'm using it more as like a highlighter. I don't know. But at any rate, I'm going to keep this one and I'm going to get rid of all the others. I'm just not using them. Truly, I'm not reaching for a liquid blush, and no one let me buy liquid blushes ever again. All right, let's talk blush palettes, or in the case of the Hourglass one, face palettes that have a blush in it. I can actually start with this one because I know I'm going to keep this. It's the Ambient Lighting Edit Mini. This is like the first generation of the Hourglass palettes that we have now. It's very, very old. And I finished the finishing powder and the bronzer, so I'm only left with the blush and the highlighter now. I've got a good dent going in the highlighter, and I just really want to finish this to prove to myself that I can. It took me a really long time to appreciate this palette. I think now that I'm a little bit older than I was when I got it and my skin's a little drier, I finally see the merit of the Hourglass powder formula. When I first got this, I was like, I don't even understand the point of these powders. I don't see them on my skin. Like, there's no pigment, blah, 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 blah. But now I love and adore the Hourglass powder formula. So I'm going to hold on to this one. I'm going to keep kind of steadily working away at it when I can. And one day I will be back with a completely empty Hourglass face palette, and that will be a great day. It will feel like a huge accomplishment. So this is the One Size Cheek Clapper 3D Blush Trio in the shade Very That. Again, I believe this was from Ipsy. These are all peachy shades. I could really do without this blush topper. I find it to be way too metallic for my preferences, but I really, really love the cream blush, and I like the powder blush as well. I guess I should have showed this when we were doing my single blushes, but technically I think it is considered a blush palette. So I'm keeping this one. I don't really have a use for this. I wish I did, because the other two are really, really great, and I could see myself using them a lot, if not finishing them up completely. But this one is just standing by, not being used because it's too shimmery. If you've been following my blush wardrobe series, you'll know I've been working on my Patrick Ta Major Headlines blush palette a ton. I did hit pan in this one over here. And again, it's one of those kind of weird situations where you put a cream and a powder in the same palette, but then no one thinks about the fact that the cream is going to go bad way, way before the powder goes bad. And you're also likely going to finish the cream before you finish the powder. So it's like, I don't know. I still have a long time to go before that's even an issue. Obviously, there's still tons of product in here. But one day it's going to be weird when all of the creams are gone, hopefully, and I just have all these powders left. But at any rate, I'm holding on to this one. I'm going to continue to use it and try and get as much use as I can out of it, especially the creams, again, before they expire. And then I have these two blush palettes from Pat McGrath. This one is the Divine Blush and Glow Cheek Palette in Divine Rose. The highlighter in this one fell out. It was the most beautiful and perfect highlighting shade maybe ever, and I was unable to salvage it because it was all over the floor, the bathroom floor. But I do really, really love all of the powder shades in here. I used this palette on my wedding day, so I don't think I'm going to get rid of it because there's still tons and tons of powder blush left in here. I'm just so sad about that highlighter. It was the perfect highlighter shade for me. And then I have this other one, which is the Divine Blush and Glow Trio in the shade Galactic Sun. This one, the highlighter is intact, but I don't love this highlighter as much, which is so frustrating. It's a lot more gold, and the one that was in here was a lot more pink. I do feel like there are some duplicates in here. I think these two are the same and these two are the same. So I'm going to pass this one on. I think if somebody doesn't have those shades, those Pat McGrath shades, and maybe loves a more kind of golden and warm highlight, this palette would be great for them. I'm still mourning the loss of my highlight from this one, but I do love all of the blushes in here, so I'm going to keep this one. All right, let's do cream and liquid highlight. This will go quickly because I don't have that many. All of these Winky Lux ones are the Cheeky Rose liquid highlighters. This pinkier one is the shade Angel. This bronzier one is the shade Nova. And then the champagne is the shade Moonlight. They did send these to me and they are beautiful. I really love the shades. I wanted to like this formula, but again, same issue with the liquid blushes. I find it's not even on my skin. It looks chalky and patchy on me. I'm sure somebody else would love these. They're really, really pretty. It is a really thin, almost watery formula, which I feel like is pretty unique in terms of the liquid highlighter game. But I have tried these and tried to make them work, and I can't get them to work. So I'm gonna give them to someone else and hopefully they will work for them. And then these two I'm going to keep. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Beauty Light Wand in the shade Spotlight. I've never had an issue with this one looking chalky, patchy, or textured on me. It is older in my collection, so I do probably need to focus on it and hopefully use it up in the very near future, but I do really love this one. And then this one is newer. It's the L'Oreal Paris Lumi Le Glace Highlighter Stick in 610 Glossy Pearl Eclat. This is really pretty. It just gives you a really juicy, kind of balmy dewiness to your cheeks, which, as I've said 1,000 times, I have dry skin, and it's hard to find products that, especially when it comes to highlighters, aren't going to sit chalky and patchy on my dry skin and are actually going to make my skin look glowy rather than just like patches of shimmer or chunks of glitter. So these are both really good options. If you are drier and you're looking for a kind of balm or liquid highlight, I do really like both of these. So keeping both of these and passing on the rest. These are all of my powder highlights. This one, I guess, is technically a face palette. It's the Moonchild Glow Kit from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm going to be keeping this one because it has a lot of really interesting, shifty highlighting shades, but I'll be honest, more often than not, I use this as eyeshadow for inner corner highlight for very colorful looks. So it's really useful for me more so in that way, but it also just has a ton of shifty shades that I don't otherwise have in a light kind of iridescent highlighter formula. This one was actually a hand-me-down to me from a friend, and I'm really, really glad that I have it. My one and only kind of fun colored highlighter outside of that palette is the Kaleidos Moon Cruiser in the shade, or sorry, the Kaleidos Space Age highlighter in the shade Moon Cruiser. I always get that wrong. But this is like a shifty, iridescent, bluey purple. Do I use this often? No. Am I wearing this on an everyday basis? No. But I still really like it. I really love when I have a chance to use it when I'm doing like a fun, colorful blue, purple, pink look. So I'm not ready to get rid of this one yet. So I'm going to hold on to this one. From Iconic London is their Lit and Luminous Baked Highlighter in the shade Universal, I guess. This came in an Ipsy, and I have never used this. Never used this, but I've heard people talk about it. I've heard people say it's really, really nice. So I think I'm going to sanitize this and put it in my Pro Kit because it does seem like it would work for a lot of skin types as a really pretty highlight. So yeah, since I've never used it and it's pristine, I think that'll be a good use for it. I've got these two from What's Up Beauty. These are the Serengeti highlighters. So I have the shade Wild Acacia, which is more like cool toned, icy white and pink. And then Safari Sunset, which is a little bit more like rose gold. I will show you Wild Acacia now. This is probably the one that I've gotten the most use out of, just because I do feel like I have a cooler, undertone, and it's really, really pretty. Well, first of all, the embossing is really pretty, but the product and the way that the product looks on the face is also really pretty. So I'm definitely going to hold on to this one. This one in Safari Sunset, I feel like I might be able to pass this one on just because it is a little bit darker and a little bit warmer. Don't really tend to reach for this one as much, so I feel like somebody else could really show this some love. So I'm going to pass this one on. Here's a couple throwbacks for you. These two are both ancient. So I have the Becca, oh my gosh, I should know what this is called. Shimmering Skin Perfector, that's it, in the shade Opal. I did have this in a project pan a couple years ago. I had it shatter on me and I repressed it, which is why it looks like that. I was able to hit pan on it, primarily by using it as an inner corner shade. And I'll be honest, I don't really think I've used this outside of like 1 or 2 times since that project. But for whatever reason, I still want this in my life. There's a time and a place for Becca Opal. It's when you want your highlighter to be seen from the moon. You want to be absolutely beaming and gleaming. But for those moments, there's nothing better. So I'm going to hold on to this. I don't know. Judge me if you want. And then this one is the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Highlighting Powder in the shade Precious Petals. I've had this for ages. And I have, I've used it, but I've never fallen in love with it. I've never been 100% sold on it. I think it's because it is a little bit more gold. And so it's not always the most flattering on my skin. So maybe it's time to part with it. This one's gonna go. And then these two I'm keeping. I absolutely love both of these. This one from Bobbi Brown, it's the Shimmer Brick in the shade Pink. I actually decluttered this a few years ago, and then I recluttered it at the last minute and saved it from the declutter pile. And I'm so glad that I did. This is just such a pretty, and I feel like it's a unique shade. You don't see a lot of pink highlighters going around. Like there's one from Dior, which maybe one day I will have the Dior pink highlighter. But I just find for me, for, my undertone, the kind of makeup that I like to wear, the kind of blush that I wear a lot of the time, a pink highlighter really does work well a lot of the times. So I'm really glad that I kept this, and I'm going to, keep it again today. And then this one is the Catrice More Than Glow highlighter in the shade Supreme Rose Beam. Again, this one is a little bit more pinky. I think this is what I was hoping the Wet n Wild would be in terms of the shade. This one doesn't have the same kind of gold shift to it. It's just a really beautiful, like pinky champagne tone. Super pretty. You can see it from space if you want to build it up. You can also apply just a really small amount, and that looks really pretty as well. But yeah, if you're looking for a really good kind of cooler toned, affordable highlighter, this one is absolutely amazing. And finally, we are on to bronzers. I'm just going to do creams and liquids together because I just don't have that many. And I also don't think I'm getting rid of any of these. I like all of them. So I'll just go through them quickly. This one is actually the e.l.f. What is it called? Is it still Halo Glow if it's the contour? Anyway, it's the contour from e.l.f. in this kind of packaging. The packaging was not the best, and it was leaking. So I ended up just putting the product into this little like container, which is less convenient, admittedly, but I really love the formula. It's a very, very good liquid bronzer, not necessarily a contour for me, but more of a bronzer shade. So yeah, keeping this one. It's a little bit more of a pain to use now, but not so much so that I want to get rid of it completely. And then the other liquid bronzer or contour that I have is the one from Milani. They do call this a liquid contour. For me, it's definitely more of a bronzer. This is the shade 01 Honey Miel, and it's just a really nice kind of classic fair to light bronzer shade. Very easy to apply. This packaging is still messy, but it has held up a little bit better than the e.l.f. one. I don't know. The packaging's not my favorite on these, but I do like the formula of this, and I do like the shade. It blends really well, so this one's good. I have the LYS No Limits bronzer stick in the shade Motivate, and this one is absolutely beautiful if you're looking for a stick that you can draw on your face and still have it blend out like a dream. You know how some products in a stick form, if you draw them on your face, they set down, and then by the time you go to blend them, you're basically screwed, like it's dry. This one doesn't do that, even on my dry skin, and it's a pretty good shade. It's a little bit on the warm. Honestly, all of these are a little bit warm for me, but I still like them enough to use them. The next time I purchase a bronzer type product, I will be a little bit more conscientious about something cooler toned, just because I do find that, you know, a lot of these go a little bit too warm for me, but I can make them work, and I like the formulas enough to keep them. I have the Tarte Sea Breezy again. This has a bunch of brush hairs in it, so don't look too closely, but this is the same range as the blushes that I showed you earlier. This is in the shade Seychelles, and it is definitely more on the yellowy end of the spectrum for me. So I don't love that. It just looks, it looks gross. Let's not look at it, but there is a pan in there. Yeah, I don't know how long this will survive. I'm going to give it definitely through this summer. And if I get grossed out enough, I might have to let it go by the end of this year. But I've been using it pretty much as my main cream bronzer product every single day. And I'm hoping that I can use a ton of it up before I feel like I need to let it go. And then again, if you're looking for a great affordable option, like affordable or not, this is one of my favorite cream bronzers. It's the Catrice Melted Sun in the shade Beach Babe 020. Again, doesn't look great in the pan. None of these do. But I do have a big ol' pan in there. Love, love, love this formula. It is so good. It rivals any high-end cream bronzers that I've tried. So I'm holding on to all of those. And then we get to powder bronzers, and guys, I don't think I'm getting rid of any of these either. Let's just go through them quickly. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer in the shade 2. This is a beautiful formula. It's very blurring on the skin and seamless on the skin as well. No patchiness, no muddiness. As you can see, I have a pretty big pan in there, so I've been kind of giving this one a rest while I work on some of my others. But this is lovely. I will say though, the e.l.f. primer infused bronzer, mine is in the shade Forever Sunkissed, is basically a dupe for like a fraction of the price. And I think in our culture these days, we throw around the word dupe a lot, but these truly, it is very, very difficult for me to point out a difference in the way they apply, in the way they look on the skin. Maybe the slightest difference in the shades between the two, but they are nearly identical products. So I would say you could save your money and get the e.l.f. one. And this one has lasted me forever. I'm just now starting to see the rings a little bit underneath it. But I was thinking I would hit pan on this by the end of the year, and I don't even know if I will. So if you're looking for one that won't break the bank, will last a long time, and performs just as well as like the Charlotte Tilbury, the e.l.f. one is great. I have the Too Cool for School Art Class by Rodin contour palette. Again, just now starting to see the rings in this. I really like this. It's definitely more of like a bronzer for me than a contour. I just use it all over my face. Leans a little bit warm, but it's still workable and I still like it. So I'm keeping this one. I am going to keep my mini Benefit Hoola, even though I don't use this all that often these days. I've just been working on other bronzers. This is just a great staple to have, and I've used up probably 2 or 3 of these. I really love the Benefit Hoola bronzer, so yeah, I will get to it eventually. And then again, we have 2 more products from the What's Up Beauty Cheek Tear collection. They sent me the light version of the bronzer and the medium version. I have yet to give these a very thorough try. I've tried them both off and on. I think the light one in particular would be great for me in the winter time. Definitely going to be leaning more toward this slightly deeper one for the summer. I still want to try these out some more and get to know them in my bronzer collection, so I am not going to be parting with them today, which means I'm not decluttering any bronzers. No, all my bronzers are staying, but we did get rid of quite a few blushes and some highlighters as well, so that feels good. I'm happy to pass some things along to some friends and hopefully find some of these products some more loving homes. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video if you did, and make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss my next declutter video going through all of the categories in my collection. So there should be another declutter up very soon. Give the video a like if you liked it, and I will hope to see you in my next one. Bye!